Hey, okay, so I was really excited about this because we were going to go to CROWLEY Elementary School today, so I could show all of you how we have an elementary school named after Aleister Crowley, who is said to be the wickedest man on earth, and also he said, they will say that I give birth to the 21st century. So, and he also had a lot of relationship with the Lilitu of Isaiah, also known as the Screech Owl or Lilith. So we know that this at the top, I recognize this. That's the oval, the Lincoln Oval. Here we have every Lilitu, every vulture will have his mate, as the Lord has promised. So it's supposed to be an eagle, but it definitely looks like a vulture. And then, I mean, let me just, this is a fucking white church. First Assembly of God is a white church. Don't let anybody tell you any different. I was raised in this church as a little half-breed Mexican fucking outcast. So don't ever let anybody tell you that this church is not white bread. This shit is white, white, white. And every Mexican or the 2 or 3 black people that go there are nothing but tokens. So who do these people really serve? What are these people really doing? Do you see this? And then we have a little Asian girl sitting above it. And then a Mexican lady and a homeless man. I tell you the truth, people. This church doesn't give a shit about these people right here. They don't care. Why are you showing a picture of a homeless man? Why don't you show the picture of him with his bike that you fixed for him and a little house that you set him up in? How many homes are vacant in this country right now? Empty homes. Why aren't we putting homeless people in them? Like Alex Collier says, if we have such a crisis, why aren't we filling his homes full of homeless families? Because your judgment, because you think you're like some judge and jury, well, they shouldn't, or this shouldn't, or that should. These are kids we're talking about. Fuck what their parents did. They have nothing to do with it. We're talking about kids. We're talking about people that are homeless. And the street's freezing in California right now. Crowley. I personally actually don't have anything against Aleister Crowley. I don't believe most of the stuff that they say about him, so I don't care. But the thing is that they want you to think that he's the wickedest man on earth and all these different things, and they like tell you if you even speak his name, you have a curse over your life. Man, that's some bullshit. That's what everybody needs to understand. Learn as much as you can about this man. Watch Supernatural, kind of learn King of Hell, isn't that Earth? Okay? Watch the Aleister Crowley documentary. Be careful. Skip past all of those seances and spells, please. Don't let them go on in your house because those aren't Crowley spells. So, yeah, very interesting. I thought that was very interesting. I felt like there was one other thing that was in here that I missed, but oh, this was the icing on the cake. Look at that fat ass Mike Cox. Do you see him holding the scissors? So when I was fired from my did printing and graphics, and I was fired for not participating in sexual harassment. That is actually what was going on. And basically a customer had come in who was he owns Jerky This. So he's real involved with kids, and he's from Three Rivers, and he owns a company called Jerky This, a beef jerky company. And I had just come from a customer, and she had these all-natural soaps, and she actually wasn't going to do any business with this company, but because of me, she said, you know, I just like you and my relationship to Dr. King. She said, I'm going to go ahead and do it, because she was a holistic health practitioner. And so I went back and I had these soaps and I'm like, look at these soaps. And they smelled so amazing. And I was like, this lady was by the courthouse. And I said, oh my gosh. And I was like, they're like 100% natural. You could eat them even, she said. And this guy said to me, oh yeah, why don't you rub them all over your body so I can lick it off? And I'm like, at this point, I didn't even take my jacket off because I have a large breast. I didn't take my jacket off at work because it caused just, not even with the men, it caused problems with the other women. And so I always kept myself covered and stuff. And I was always like, I was very prudish in before the age of 33. And, you know, I went back and forth. I like to dress up and do things, but as a whole, I was still pretty much a prude. So that, I mean, and I said, excuse me, and I was trying to like be cool, but then, you know, put the boundaries up. So I said, hey, that's not HR friendly, you know, I wasn't trying to be cool. Like, that's not HR friendly, you know, and he said, I don't work here. Well, in the state of California, it's your employer's job to make sure that you are safe and that you're not being subjected to this kind of stuff. And I am not a paid fucking whore. I could have been a real fucking whore if I wanted to and had lots of money. It's much easier to be a whore and not be employed by a company like Idea Printing and Graphics. I can be my own damn whore. I could be a madam if I wanted to. It's stupid. I don't want to do that. Why would I become a Christian to be a whore? That doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, I've been a Christian since I was 13. I've never been a whore. But this man, see, when I knew I was going to be fired, I got the feeling that I was going to be fired. He's holding these scissors. He's fatter and fatter every year. And I know he lies to his wife. He would go, I mean, I'm busting my ass working my job. I mean, like, seriously, they were like, how can she do so much? And he did so little. I'll tell you why. Because he was sleeping at Plaza Park during the day in his fucking car. Going up, he told me, he used to go up and go water skiing for the day and then just check in, tell him he was working. I would never do something like that. I would just never do something like that. If I were to stop and get a bite to eat and I took a little bit longer talking to somebody, I would have felt convicted over it because I'm not on my time. I'm on somebody else's time. And I had a very good boss at Ross Stores when I was in work experience in high school. Debbie Powers was her name. And she told me one day, it wasn't me, she was telling all of us. She said, do your job correctly, people. This company thought of your job enough to make it so, to bring it into an existence, and then pay you for it. So do your job. This company created your job and chose you for it. If you do not want it, we will choose someone else who does it. Do the job. It's fucking easy, people, okay? And it's the same thing with all this stuff. So basically, I went to him because he's the person that actually got me that job. And so I've been there for about 6-7 months. I was a salary employee. And I mean, I ruined my Audi doing that car, doing outside sales on my Audi. I mean, it just like thrashed my car, rolling my windows up and down all the time and just being in and out in the heat. I would get sick from going into the heat and into the cold. And then when I would come in from my car, they would go, oh my God, you're not even sweating. Well, for one, I don't like sweat a lot. It's some Native American thing. And then also, I'm coming in from my air conditioning car, like from the heat, and our door was like right there. When they used to actually like make insinuations that I wasn't working hard. But when they fired me, I actually made Ambassador of the Month for the Chamber of Commerce. And it was very controversial. I was not allowed to be represented with my award at the ceremony because it was so controversial. It was like getting fired and them having to save your Employee of the Month parking spot. Okay? So it was literally like getting the biggest award of being such an outstanding employee and helping so much. I got awards from the House of Congress and all these people who went to this church, actually, who I grew up knowing. And so it was like, it was bad for them. I mean, I was literally there with Mike Coley and his phone was going crazy. He was getting yelled at. Everybody was getting in trouble for giving me an award, for recognizing me. So, and I worked hard. I really love Visalia. I really love the people here, the regular people. And I've never left. I've never really wanted to leave. I've wanted to get, you know, other houses like at the beach or so that you can leave this place sometimes. But, I've never wanted to leave. I've always had a very strong connection to Visalia. So, basically, I went up to him in that little room and I says, Mike here, and I said, Mike, you know, what's going on? Like, am I okay? Am I going to lose my job? I'm a single mom at this point. And I had another job at somewhere else to choose from at that point, and I had chose that job because of him and because they told me it would be a Christian work environment. And then my lawyer, Doug Hurt, told me later on, he was like, hey, first of all, Tony, when everybody tells you it's a Christian business, run. That is a red flag. There is no such a thing. And that's when I realized, you know, you're right. There is no such a thing because it's commerce. Jesus has no place in commerce. God has no place in commerce. Okay? So, and I said, what do you think? Am I in danger? Am I going to lose? He goes, no. And I remember seeing the lie in his eyes. And I remember just looking down and he had this gold cross that he was wearing. And I remember looking at that cross thinking, he wouldn't lie to me wearing that around his neck, would he? And it sure shit did. And the next day I saw him at a ribbon. The next day or later that day I was going to interviews and trying to get another job immediately. And I went to the Ice House Theater where he was there. And they were, Sylvia and her friends were doing a thing for, I think it was the Supremes or something, and Diana Ross or something like that. And then he walked up to me and I said, was there anything said about me? I mean, what? And he just lied to me again. He lied straight through his rotten teeth. And I looked straight at that cross and all I wanted to do was just rip it off his fat neck because he didn't deserve it. I wanted to rip it off his fat neck and throw it on the ground because he's a fucking fork-tongued liar. And there he is right there holding his big scissors I've cut those scissors before. Those used to be the scissors I used. So, and all the white people just sitting around watching. And you've got all the minorities up here. So let's just get a little picture of this here. All the minorities, and then all the wannabe elites down here sitting. First Assembly of God, Church of ALEISTER, fucking CROWLEY.